Welcome back to Limitless You, the space where ambition isn't just encouraged, it's sharpened, where wisdom meets strategy, and where you're reminded every single time you weren't born to be average. You were born to lead, to rise, to master your power. Here on this channel, we break down timeless truths from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene and turn them into modern-day mindsets for success, leadership, and self-mastery. Today, we dive into law number 4, always say less than necessary. This one is deceptively simple, but incredibly powerful. In today's noisy, hyper-connected world, the ability to control your words is a rare and valuable form of power. Robert Greene says, when you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear and the less in control. The truth is, most people talk too much. They over-explain, over-justify, overshare, not realizing that every unnecessary word weakens their impact. This law isn't about silence. It's about precision. It's about speaking with intention, not insecurity. There's a reason the loudest person in the room rarely has the most influence. Because real power doesn't chase attention, it commands it. Think of the great leaders, thinkers, and innovators, the ones whose presence made people lean in, not because they said a lot, but because they said what mattered. Warren Buffett doesn't ramble. Barack Obama uses pauses as powerfully as he uses words. Steve Jobs, minimalist in speech, masterful in delivery. They all knew the same truth: say less, mean more. Now let's be real, most people talk themselves out of power. In meetings, they overshare strategy. In relationships, they reveal too much too soon. In conflict, they argue instead of observe. But the more you speak, the more you reveal. And when people know too much about you, your fears, your doubts, your intentions, they can use it. Control the narrative by controlling your mouth. In today's world of social media, instant reactions, and constant commentary, restraint is rare. We're encouraged to say everything all the time. But here's the truth. Oversharing drains your power. Overspeaking reveals your insecurities. Silence, on the other hand, builds mystique. Powerful people don't explain, they embody. They don't seek validation through words. They move through life with clarity, calm, and confidence. And when you say less, you listen more. You observe, you think, you strategize. It's not about being secretive. It's about being intentional. So how do you use this law in real life? First, embrace the pause. You don't have to rush to respond. Take a breath. Let silence settle. Let others fill the gap. Second, master brevity. Be clear. Be concise. Get to the point. Let your words hit, not ramble. Third, don't argue, especially when emotions run high. The one who says less almost always holds more control because they're not reacting, they're thinking. Fourth, let others talk. People love to fill silence, and when they do, they reveal more than they intended. You gain insight while revealing nothing. And finally, guard your energy. Not every room deserves your truth. Not every question needs an answer. Not every moment needs a speech. There is immense power in walking into a room, doing what needs to be done, and leaving with your peace and your privacy intact. This law invites you to shift your mindset. You don't owe anyone access to your thoughts. You don't need to explain your dreams, justify your goals, or defend your boundaries. The most powerful people in history understood one thing: silence is not weakness. Silence is leverage. When people can't read you, they can't stop you. When they can't predict you, they can't prepare against you. When you're silent, you're not passive, you're strategic. You become unpredictable, unstoppable, limitless. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause. The next time you want to talk just to fill the silence, pause. The next time you want to prove your worth with words, pause. Because your presence, your poise, your stillness, those are your weapons. Let them work for you. Law 4 teaches us to speak with discipline, to lead with intention, to let our actions and our silence speak louder than any words ever could. So the next time you start something big, let the world wonder. Let your results speak. Let your silence be your shield and your impact be your voice. Because you weren't born to explain your greatness. You were born to live it. If this message challenged you, inspired you, or spoke to something inside of you, do me one favor. Drop a comment below. Have you ever said too much and lost control of a moment? What happened when you chose silence instead? Hit that like button. It helps more people hear this message. Share this video with someone who's ready to lead at a higher level. and subscribe to Limitless You, where we're building a new generation of strategic, powerful, purpose-driven leaders. Because you weren't meant to be ordinary, you were meant to be undeniable. Until next time, stay sharp, stay intentional, stay powerful,